Welcome to Frido. So just begin to relax, and we're going to begin with a small meditation followed by the Journey of Frido poem. So just begin to relax yourself and get settled. And if you need to move or adjust yourself at any time, feel free. And I just invite you to close your eyes and begin to observe your body sensations, your breathing, and any thoughts that may or may not come into the mind. Just gently scan through your body from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Simply observing, noticing any feelings, any sensations that may arise in any one of your body organs or parts of your body. Notice if there's any tension or any relaxation. And as you continue to breathe, you can now expand your awareness out into the room or the space that you're in. Just noticing the temperature of the air on your skin and any sounds around. Just continuing to breathe comfortably as your awareness expands out into the town that you live in or your surrounding area. Just observing how that feels. As your attention expands further still out into the world, into the whole world. Noticing the atmosphere, the feelings in the world, with all its people, animals, plants, different races and religions, different age groups, physical abilities, different cultures. Just noticing and observing the world. Maybe your attention goes to one particular country or culture, or perhaps nothing, just a feeling. And as you continue to breathe comfortably, expand your awareness now out into the universe, the infinite universe of ever-ending space. Just notice the atmosphere, the energy of the universe. And you can just float around for a while. You can float around the universe as long as you want. Notice how that feels. Maybe you'll go somewhere, or maybe you'll stay in one place. And when you're ready, in your own time, you can gently begin your journey back into the world, back into the town, back into your space, and finally returning back into your body. once again noticing your breathing, noticing any thoughts, and noticing any body sensations. And while you're in this particular state, I'm going to read out the Friedo Journey. It's a poem, The Journey of Friedo. Something stirs from deep inside. It twists and turns 1,000 times. It pulls and stretches into shape. A figure shows and moves around. A hand supports it from below until it feels and begins to grow. Building blocks are put in place until the figure is nice and safe. The figure starts to create its own, from light and darkness, vibrating tone. Birth and death begin to rise. The figure splits to compromise. The figure then creates some space. Now life and death begin their race, until the space has found a way to stabilize and have its say. Space creates a home for all, the separation of large and small, of water, fire, earth and air, weight and lightness, cold and brightness, pain and sorrow, love and joy. Out of this space comes girl and boy. The figure has journeyed through time and space, feeling as though it has won the race, looking around only to find a universe of an amazing kind. The training's been tough, it's been testing and rough. The figure is ready, it's complete and steady. Back to the source, the figure must run, for now the journey has just begun. Hey, welcome to Friedo, Journey to Freedom. So we're going to work with this card today, Resistance. So you can take a look at that. And it's about when there's resistance in our life. It can come up in our life situations. It can also come up in our body, stiffness or discomfort, pain, and also in our mind, where we've got resistance, so we can't make up our mind. It's like, should we do this? Should we do that? And we get a bit stuck. These are the kind of energies resistance gives us. So I want you to just close your eyes, and I'm going to read the card to you. You can absorb that information before we go on and do the exercises. When two opposing viewpoints exist, this creates resistance. Learning about these opposites help them create a perfect balance. Resistance arises from many different things: ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. It is sometimes just a matter of misunderstanding or not recognizing one thing or another. Resistance can work in both negative and positive ways, depending on how you view a situation. Without resistance, our body, the environment, and the universe would simply collapse. Resistance is also needed to grow and strengthen muscles, intelligence, and all parts of life. Allow resistance to stay in the dark, and it will be your master. Master resistance, and it will change your life. Resistance makes me stronger. So when you're ready, come back into the space. And we're going to start with a exercise, a mind exercise called resistance rebalance. It's about rebalancing resistance. So first of all, choose an object to represent your symbol today. You would have chosen a word for today's session. I call it a symbol. It's your symbol that you're working with today. So it could be anything. It could be an item of jewellery, a painting, a picture, a book, a plant, a pillow, whatever you want. Item of clothing, just something that can represent your symbol today. I want you to get a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper you can write your symbol at the top of the piece of paper if you like, and a date if you want, today's journey. And I want you to give yourself a percentage, and this percentage represents like how well you know your symbol. So if you've chosen the word, like for example fear, how well do you know fear? How well do you use the power of fear in your life? Or does it use you? Or do you not use that power? You know, the power of happiness or love, or your power of a job or a person. You know, if it's a person you've chosen for today's journey or relationship, you know, do you understand the power of that? And how well do you use that power? Or do you not? Or does that, it uses you more? This kind of thing. So if you feel like you're the master of your symbol, then give yourself a high percentage, like an 80, 90 or more. If you feel like you're nowhere near the master of it, it controls you if anything, or you can't control it in any way, or you can't use its power in any way, then you'd give yourself a low percentage. So have a think about that and put it down. Once you've done that, on your sheet of paper, I want you to draw this diagram. Okay, so it's a wiggly line. It can be straight if you want, if you're a perfectionist. Unlike me, I do a wiggly line like that, like a wavy line, with a triangle in the middle underneath it, like a seesaw. It's like balancing it. And then on one side, you can see you've got a +1, you've got a -2 and a +3. And on the other side, you've got a -1, a +2 and a -3. So just write that down, draw that diagram, and we're going to begin to fill it in. This is the mind exercise to break some of this resistance that may be sitting in your symbol. So where you've got the +1, I want you to write above the line of the +1. Where are we? Here we go. Just above it there somewhere. I want you to write just a word, or 2 words if you like, something positive about your symbol. So one positive thing. Just try and make just a word if you can. A positive word about your symbol. So if you've chosen a negative symbol to work with today, it might be quite challenging to see the positive in that symbol. That's your challenge. That's where some resistance is sitting. So take your time and work on that. Once you've done that, go to the other side of the triangle where it's got -1. And above there, I want you to write a negative word about your symbol. Or a negative something about your symbol. So again, if it's a negative word, a symbol you've chosen, that could be quite easy maybe. to think of something negative about it, or perhaps not. So just put something negative about your symbol there. And now we're going to continue along that same line where you've just put the negative symbol. We're going to now go along to the +1. Sorry, the other way, +2, excuse me. So it's +2. And I want you to put above the +2 here something, a positive word, about the negative word you just wrote above the -1. So have a look at the -1, and above the +2 you're going to write something, a positive word about it. Again, this could be challenging, or it might be easy. It all depends what word you've chosen and how much resistance you've got in that word. The more resistance you've got in it, the harder this will be. But don't worry, sometimes you've got to really dig deep, and if you can't find a negative or a positive, is just try to almost like elaborate, exaggerate. You know, even if you can't find something negative, just kind of dig deep. Like, what could be negative? Like, what is it possible that anything could be negative about that, or is it possible anything could be positive about that word? So something positive about the negative word. Then move along to the -3 and look at what you've written above the +2. And I want you to now write a negative word about what you've just written on the +2. So what's negative about what you've written on the +2? Something negative about that. Alright, just again, you can just use a word. Once you've done that, go across to the other side where you've already put a +1, a positive word about your symbol. And then we're going to work along the other side. So if you go along to your -2, right above it, with your -2, something negative, one word that's negative about your +1. And once you've done that, finally go to your +3 and write one positive thing about what you've written in your -2. So it's a little bit of a mind messing exercise, this. I've been doing this for a number of years and I still get a bit confused because it really does mess up the mind, confuses it. What's positive about the negative, about the negative, about the, but you know, it can be very confusing. So just take your time, because this is how complex the mind is and how it holds resistance. That's why we get really stuck with things in the mind. It's like it's complex, we've got to unravel it, and this is a beautiful way to unravel it. Once you work through one level, one line you've completed, you could start again. You could now begin at the +1, and you could write another word above that word that you've written below it, and you can start another row, another line on both sides, and you can keep on doing that again and again if you want. I'd normally recommend doing it like 3 times. I think that's a powerful number. That works really well in Freedo. So maybe just do 3 rows in total, and then maybe another day, another time, you might do it again or use a different symbol. So once you've done that and you haven't got too much of a headache, don't worry if you couldn't complete it all. Just do what you can. We're going to move on to the body exercise now, where we can begin to embody our symbol, and this will help us to release that resistance in our actual body. The mind exercise is to release it more in our mind, and the body exercise is focusing on releasing it through the body more so. So just begin connecting to your object, the object you've chosen to represent your symbol today. Just, you know, start looking at it. The way we connect to it is through our senses, so just begin to look at it in different ways, and just kind of touching it in different ways, feeling it, maybe, you know, banging it like this, or stroking it, rubbing it, listening. I know it might not speak, but some people may say they can hear something. So just use your hearing and maybe tasting, just maybe not licking it unless you want to, but just kind of breathing in, you know, just kind of getting the feeling of kind of tasting it in your own way. And once you've done that for a minute or longer, if you like, the longer you do this, the more you connect to it. Now you can place the object on your upper heart. So this area, there's my heart kind of area, and I'm going a little bit higher, not as high as my throat, in between my heart and my throat, the upper heart I call it. This is often where things get stuck from being expressed. You can often feel things getting stuck, trying to come up and be expressed either out your mouth or through an action, and it can often get stuck here. So place that object here and just gently observe your body sensations. To begin with, you might feel a bit of stickiness, a bit of discomfort, you might feel nothing. And just keep it there until you feel comfortable. So again, if you hold it there for a minute or 5 minutes is great. Again, the longer you do it, the better, but between 1 and 5 minutes is pretty good. Now, once you've done that, we're going to move on to our ritual. It's called Resistance Freeze. So again, choose your objects. I'm going to choose an object today, my Freezy. These are really useful because they kind of squeeze. But choose your object, and what we're going to do is connect to your symbol. So you've got your object. There's your symbol, and now just connect to that energy. So if your symbol is money or fear or love or a person's name, just kind of really feel you're connecting to it. Physically, you've obviously connected to it through the object, and just mentally connect to it, and physically start feeling your object more and more, and begin to just move around. Just move your body. You can walk around, you can just move your body, you can talk if you want. And then what you're going to do is, as soon as I say squeeze your object and freeze your whole body. So freeze, and completely freeze wherever you are, and just hold your breath as well. And now release and continue. So continue moving around, looking around. If you need to speak or sing or dance or but keep some moving around. And then again, in a moment, I'm going to say freeze. So freeze, squeeze your object, hold your breath, hold your body in that position as still as possible. Obviously, if you have to breathe, breathe, but if you can hold it, then hold it. And then release your breath, start breathing again, start moving around again. And just continue doing this for as long as you want. Freeze the video and continue for at least 1 to 5 minutes. The longer the better. If you did it for 10 minutes, 15, 20, 30, an hour, sometimes you can do this for. It depends, but at least 1 to 5 minutes. And keep on moving around. And when you're ready, just squeeze your object, give it a little squeeze, and just freeze. Release. Move around, dance around, freeze. Obviously, if you can keep your eyes still, that's great. Don't worry if you blink. You're just trying to freeze as much as possible. And that's super, super powerful for embodying your symbol. So whether it's a negative symbol or a positive symbol, it's just as important to embody that symbol. Because when you embody something, you're in charge of it then. You own that symbol. So now get your piece of paper out. Have a think about what you've learnt. So write down what you've learnt. Keep it simple. Freedo is about simplicity. Try not to overcomplicate things. So just think, what have I learned today? Whatever comes into your head, whether it's logical or not logical, and it feels like, yep, that's the learning I can take away with me today. Whether you think it's because of the journey or connected to the journey you've done or not, it doesn't matter. Sometimes the journey can trigger something that you think, oh, wow, and you just learn something. It could be about anything actually, but whatever comes to you, write down. And once you've written it down, the next stage is to turn that into an affirmation. So an affirmation is where you make that into a learning affirmation. So for example, if personally me, if I'm working on, let's for example say money as my symbol today, and I might have learnt through this process that there's something positive or something negative about money, and I'm thinking I've learned that yeah, you can actually, there's both exist. There's a good thing and a bad thing about money, and maybe I've learned that that's what I've learned. There's a good and bad thing about money. So my learning affirmation might be something like I'm in balance with money, or I can use money, or money is positive and negative. So you're just making something like that. You've got the learning. I've learned that money is positive and negative. Or I can use money. That's all. Keep it really simple. 2 words, 3 words maximum. Keep it simple. This is powerful. And now going to the practice. How are you going to practice? How are you going to demonstrate that learning? So if I've said, you know, I can use money, if that's my affirmation, what can I do to prove that? Well, I'll go and spend something now. I'll go and buy something today or tomorrow. But consciously connecting to I can use money to buy something, and I'm going to go and do it. I need to go and do it because that makes the body also believe it. It's no good saying I can ride a bike and then not riding a bike. So you've got to get the body to do it. So think of an action that you can do to prove that your learning affirmation actually is true and it works. This is very, very important. Even if it's something, can be something very small, or it could be a big challenge. It could be something like, you know, you need to go and face something, deal with something, you know, make a phone call, confront a situation, something which you can go and do. Might be just to go for a run. It could be something simple. You decide. Now once you've got that, we're going to complete our journey today with a percentage. So have a think about what percentage you're going to give yourself. How well do you know your symbol now? Do you feel like you know it better than before? Do you feel like you can almost like use its power more or less? Sometimes we can give ourselves a lower percentage. We feel like maybe we've somehow not learnt less, but it's opened up a bigger subject for us. So you decide in your own way what percentage to give you. There's no right and wrong, but it's just important to measure yourself always against your symbol. So I hope you enjoyed that journey today. Remember, they're all free. We've got 75 different sessions on free play. So there's readings as well, there's rituals, and there's these journeys. We can come onto a live webinar if you want. We do our retreats. They're beautiful around the world. Have a one-to-one session. So hope you enjoyed yourself this evening or this morning, and have a good day, have a good evening, and remember, keep living the dream.